So let's make it clear. The reality is WordPress is among the most secure application you can use on the web, largely due to the fact that WordPress is an open source. It is the most prevalent and popular web publishing application in the world, and it is most obvious that a target for hackers will be active. At the same time, it's also one of the most rapidly developing applications. As a result, security holes are patched almost as soon as they are discovered. So you need to make sure to time and again update your WordPress version. So to keep you as safe and secure as possible, we will use this chapter to look at ways you can improve the strength of your site by adding plugins and external services. By far, the easiest and most important step to ensure the safety of your WordPress site is to always keep your themes and plugins up to date, along with the WordPress itself. Now, when you run an older version of WordPress and you log in to the backend, you will immediately be notified that you are running an older version. As you can see in the toolbar, I have this icon up here that tells me I currently have 6 updates available: WordPress update, plugin updates, and theme updates. I can see all my updates here in the main menu. You can see that under dashboard I have updates, under plugins I have updates, and if I go into appearance, you will see that in my themes I also have a series of themes that need to be updated. Now I could go to dashboard, select updates, and then run bulk updates on everything, or I can go into the individual section and update one piece of the core at a time. I'm going to do a bit of both, so first let's update WordPress itself. So when you click on the Updates tab from the dashboard or the Updates button here in the toolbar, you're taken to the WordPress updates where you can click on Update Now to update WordPress itself. Now WordPress will be downloaded, the web unpacked and installed on your site, and then the database is updated, and when everything is done, you land on the Welcome to WordPress 5. Now you're running the current version. Now if I go back to dashboard and updates, you'll see that instead of telling me you're running an older version of WordPress, I'm now told I can reinstall the WordPress from scratch if there's some problem with it, and I can also download the application right from here. Now that we have updated WordPress itself, it's time to update plugins and themes. You can do that from this page itself just by selecting all plugins and clicking Update Plugins, and then WordPress will run updates on each of them. You can also go to plugins and see which plugins are not up to date. Plugins requiring updates are highlighted. You can either click Update Now, in which case it will update automatically, or you can select Updates Available. This will give you a list of all plugins requiring updates, and then you can highlight all of them and use the bulk action to update all of them at the same time. You also have some themes that need to be updated. So if you go to Appearance and Themes, some of the themes are out of date, and then clicking Update Now in the model window. This will download the newer version of the themes and replace the older ones, and then you can return to the themes page and see the theme is now up to date. In some very rare cases, updating may break your site. However, the suggestion is whenever there is a new version of WordPress, always make the update because you are getting the latest version of the application. It is either to add functionality or to add security measures. However, in some rare cases, themes or plugins may not have been coded properly, so when you update WordPress, there will be a coding conflict between a theme and with the WordPress itself, or a plugin and WordPress itself. And in those cases, the update experience will actually take down the site completely. If you encounter such problem, in most cases it's either one of your plugin or a theme. And the best way to do is disable all the plugins and activate them one by one, and you will easily find the problematic plugin. If it is not a critical plugin, you can disable and delete it, or even replace it with other plugin with similar functionality. If it is not the plugin, simply changing the theme can tell you whether the theme is responsible for it. Now it's suggested, if you are in this situation where it is close to impossible to rectify, do not be too hard on yourself, simply hire a developer. A knowledgeable developer may be able to fix it. It's important to note, however, that you should never edit the core files by yourself if you have a little knowledge about coding. Because of the popularity of WordPress, more people are going to try to attack your site, either by leaving spam comments or running distributed denial of service attacks or hacking into your site. So once you set up a WordPress site, you have to be aware of how to protect yourself. There are lots of services out there that can help you protect your site. Some of them are free, some of them cost a bit of money, but all of them are well worth the investment. Looking at a couple of services that you can use, you may start with Cloudflare, which is also known as a caching service. So people visit your site, they're not necessarily getting content from your server, but instead they're getting content from the Cloudflare server. So the major benefit of using Cloudflare or a similar CDN or caching service is that when you get a lot of traffic, it will quickly take some of that load away. They have a free option. You can install it in your WordPress site. It is very easy to set up and it works out quite well. Another great advantage is that Cloudflare blocks malicious attacks by directing a certain computer or certain block computers away from your site, so your site does not go down in that attack. Now, backup is important for many reasons. Your site is not just susceptible to attacks by outsiders, it's also that something goes wrong in computers and your host is just a computer. And if things go wrong on the host, then you might lose all your content. Now, all hosting providers will claim to have proper backup, but the reality is, in many cases, that backup may be 2 weeks old or 2 months old. So if you run a proper backup in your site yourself, you're ensured that if and when something goes wrong, you're able to restore everything. Automatic, the company that runs WordPress.com, has created a backup service called WordPress. WordPress can be installed on any WordPress site, and not only does it run backups and security checks on your site, but they also guarantee to restore your site with the one-click feature. So if you want proper backup and security and you don't want to worry about it, investing in WordPress might be a good idea. Akismet scans every single comment that comes into your site and makes sure it's not spam. Akismet is not a free option, but it can be free if you're building a personal blog. You have to pay for it based on the type of site you have, and this is something that's well worth the investment, because getting a lot of comment spam on your site will take up an enormous amount of time in comment management. Finally, you should protect your site against what's known as brute force attack. You can install a plugin called a limit login that will prevent brute force attacks from happening on your site. But if you're using the Jetpack plugin, Jetpack comes with something called Protect, which does the same job and also does a bit of other types of blacklisting IPs and stuff. So Jetpack might also be a great security solution for your site. By taking some very simple security measures like using Cloudflare and installing some simple security plugins, you will further protect your site from attacks and ensure that your site will not be the one that everyone starts to target.